Good morning. Evelyn McKnight, One Arm University. This is such a delight for me this morning. I have two very important people in my life, two people that I love so much, and they're going to have a conversation about taking care, being the caregiver. So we have my husband Tom, who's been my loyal companion for more than 42 years. I call him my trophy husband. And my good friend Paula, visiting here from Washington, D.C., a very accomplished journalist. And so these two are going to have a conversation about the caregiver, what it's like to be a caregiver, what that means for Tom and for me in our lives now. So let's listen in.
Good morning, Tom.
Morning.
So, over the past 3 years, you've stepped in to help Evelyn with numerous everyday tasks. And now she has to do these solely with her left hand and left arm. She was right-handed too. What is the most difficult aspect of taking on this new responsibility?
Well, first of all, in our case, it was cancer that caused the responsibility. So certainly the most difficult thing is just the emotional burden and the worry about cancer. But as you know, Evelyn's been an incredible worker, survivor, and so, that kind of gets in the background as the scans go by and things get better. So then the responsibilities came up. I was lucky at the time this happened, I was able to retire from a 40-year medical career. So that gave me ample opportunity and time, and it feels like now the only thing I want to do is be home, be available, and be in that situation. Not everyone is so lucky as I am to have that amount of time to spend to help. I think some of the most difficult tasks are just seeing the struggles of learning to write, learning to cook, learning just simple things like making the bed or doing the laundry, which, as some of the previous videos have shown, Evelyn has stepped up to the plate and learned how to do all those things so well. It's just the day-to-day tasks and kind of the time it takes to get everything done that normally would have just kind of been a routine. It just upsets your whole life schedule.
The time, yeah, I can see that. Okay, and how do you decide when to offer assistance and when to kind of step back so that Evelyn can do it herself and feel a sense of accomplishment in completing a task?
I'm smiling a little bit because it has been a struggle and especially in the beginning, it's like you want to jump in there and do it, and yet you don't know if they want to do it themselves or if she wanted to try and accomplish this task. Luckily, we have good communication, so I think it's really important to discuss that topic, and your partner, your helper, your person that you're helping is going to give you the lead. But I often kind of stand back and wait, and she usually gives me a little nod or says, "Can I help?" Or if it's time sensitive and I think we need to get going, then I'll gently come in. And we have a really good system now, but we've been doing this a while. But I think it's just kind of the patience, the understanding, the empathy to let them learn it, figure it out, and know that they'll ask for help. It's kind of also been interesting with our grandchildren and our children. Evelyn is pretty good about telling them it's okay to help me if I need my food cut up or with our friends. So she's a good communicator, and I think that really helps my situation to make it a lot easier for me.
I think it helps that you're a really good listener and that you were always that for your patients in your medical practice. So I understand that phantom pain is almost a constant problem with Evie, as it probably is with most amputees. And I wonder if there's a way that you can help her alleviate that pain to some extent or comfort her when she's feeling it the worst.
So I guess being a medical family physician, I'm in a little better position to talk about phantom pain and to really kind of understand it. None of us can live it, and it's a real heartbreak for me to see what she's going through, because she's not a complainer. But early on the surgeons told her to expect it, but until you experience it, you really don't know what phantom pain is. I really believe initially, it was much better, much worse, and much more difficult to handle, and now, she's gotten a little bit used to it. It never goes away. It's still a terrible problem. So things that I've noticed or that she's found that help, like if we're on an airplane, she'll lean up against me with her amputated shoulder. Sometimes just pressure on that shoulder helps it feel better.
Okay.
Many times if we're at an event, I'll feel her kind of rubbing my hand. And sometimes it's actually uncomfortable for me. Of course, I don't say anything, but I feel like she's trying to massage her pain away with that hand. So being available, asking what you can do, sometimes positioning a pillow, sometimes a heating pad, sometimes early on it was very difficult to massage the area, but later on learning a little bit of massage technique to help what we call harden that shoulder. So some of those things have helped, I think, in the last few months.
That's interesting. I guess I never knew what kinds of things could possibly help with that situation.
And I will say patients need to be careful with medication. Your physicians will help you, and there are neurologic medicines that help.
Yeah.
Some people have gotten difficulty, as we've read nationally, with pain medicine addiction, and so I think it's a real balance with use of medicine to help survive and medicine to help long term.
Aside from the discomfort that Evelyn herself is experiencing about her body, do you yourself feel any discomfort in social settings or when you go out in public about having a spouse who is limb limited, as we say, has limitations regarding her limbs?
No, I guess I'm very lucky. We have a loving relationship, and I'm really in a loving, supporting role. And I notice it sometimes that some children will ask questions, or people might stare, but it does not bother me a bit. I'm sure the limb difference person is going to feel some of that, so you can be the supportive role. And everybody's different. It really is a challenge for different couples, different partnerships, different relationships, grandchildren, children. But I think universally people are comfortable, people are sincere, people are genuine, and people are caring.
Yeah.
And so that's really, a nod to human kindness, which
Yes.
we've felt
Yes.
from the beginning with the support of all our family and friends.
Yeah. Could you describe one or two of your most successful efforts to help her, specific tasks that you might remember?
Yeah, that's a fun one because my dad was a coach, and
Yeah.
so I feel like I have a little bit of that coaching blood. And
Right,
so
okay.
there's been examples of learning how to swim, getting a real coach to help her or encouraging her. Cross-country skiing was a real challenge because when you fall down in the deep snow trying to get up, and I remember one time I wasn't there and she didn't have her cell phone and she had to take her boot off to get her sock in the snow. So cross-country skiing success. We made a decision together, and mostly Evelyn, that a two-wheel bike, she can ride a two-wheel bike, and we did for a while, but it's like maybe that's too much risk, to fall over and injure your one arm.
I should think so.
So we worked together to find a really nice three-wheel bicycle, which we enjoy. So many of those activities. I'm not good with cooking, but I'm learning. So I think I'm being coached many times as much as I'm trying to coach
Sure.
her, which has been a fun part of the journey.
And I have to say that three-wheel bike is astounding. It's a wonderful thing. I want to ride it too. All right. Do you discuss issues of body image with Evelyn? It's a sensitive topic, I think, for all women, but in particular for someone who is limb limited.
Yeah, definitely. We're lucky we have good communication skills, and we had to warm up to this because 20 years ago Evelyn had a mastectomy, and it's that relationship, and all partnerships or relationships, that you need to go through some of that body image things. So I love her intensely. It's never been an issue for me, but I know in some relationships and some acquaintances we've had in limb difference couples, it is a problem that it may even take to the point that you need really good communication. You maybe need some medical or social counseling to get through some of those challenges. We're lucky in our relationship, but I do know of examples where it can be an issue for partners in relationships.
Do you ever feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster, feeling burdened by the extra time and effort required 1 minute, but grateful for this chance to spend more time together the next minute, So what has it been like for you emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge roller coaster. You wait for a scan to come, you wait for a test to come back. You worry about the phantom pain not going away, not getting better, not being able to. So, sharing that together, being a good sounding board, sharing tears together, sharing griefs together, but in being able also to say, okay, we've had our time to grieve, but, life is moving forward. We have great joy, great opportunities, great adventures to pursue, great things to help people. And so I think if you can acknowledge it, live with it, discuss it, but then put it aside, package it up in a neat little box and say, okay, you're not going to ruin this day for me today. I have better and more important things to be grateful for, to love and enjoy. And that's been helpful.
Well, I think we could talk forever, but one last question is about you as the caretaker. How do you deal with the extra pressure? Do you have some way of getting support when you're feeling stressed?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is there. I try and think of the joy that I have to be able to share this time together, be able to help. But I think you want to lean on your family, your friends, maybe your religious community. I have some great friends that have been great support and ask the right questions. I know they have a shoulder that I can go to because many of those times I don't want to burden Evelyn with my difficulties, my sadness, my fears. And so it's a balance to share those things obviously with your partner, but share them also with some trusted confidence.
With the permission of Evelyn to say, Okay, well, thank you. I think that was my last question, but it's been a pleasure talking to you about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I want to thank Tom and Paula, and it was a lovely conversation, and it meant so much for me to hear those kind thoughts and loving thoughts and ideas about how to cope with, how to live with someone, how to care for someone with limb limitations. So thank you for joining us today. Please comment. Please let us know how your caretaker, your helper, walks through this journey with you. And we'll see you again next time. Thanks for joining One Arm University. Bye-bye.